Hi, and welcome to Turra Company, the mother-daughter podcast about everything. Our mission is to make herstory, aka history, not by going viral, but by doing something that has never been done before in our family. Whether we have 2 listeners or 2 million listeners, we are bringing you our very best, and hopefully we are learning and growing together in the process. Now let's enter into the Turra Company experience and create herstory, aka history together. Welcome to Turra Company. Hey.
Hello.
Hey, no laughing today. Hey, I like it.
You know what I did the other day?
Except Ariel, she always got to break protocol. What'd you do?
You know what I did the other day?
What'd you do?
So when I be sitting in my office at work.
It's funny when we get in here, you be being. But when we outside of here, you the properest person I've ever seen. Try that again. I'm not going to edit it out.
I don't see anything wrong with me saying when I be sitting in my office.
Because it just takes it down a notch. Just let me hear it the proper way.
I was sitting in my office at work, but like it was like our big office where like all of us like instructors sit. Mm-hmm. And usually like sometimes like if we're not busy, where like we're coming in and out of the room, then like we'll just sit in there to have like music on, like mainly in the morning we do it, like mainly like morning, like into the afternoon we'll do it, but like we try to be like first because like some people put on music and we don't be vibing with the music because we just can't. But the other day I was like, you guys, I was like, can we just sit and can I play the podcast in the background?
Okay.
And everyone thought that
you see, I perked up because I was like, where's this story going? I so didn't know where the story was going. So you played the podcast. So you asked.
Yeah, and everyone said yeah, and I just played it in the background.
And what was people's faces?
Well, we got busy, so I had to turn it off. But I say all that to say that, like, you know,
the initial reaction.
Yeah, everyone's like, yeah. So I was trying to find a good episode.
What episode was
That's what I was trying to find, like a good episode. I can't remember which one.
You know, I'm gonna tell you the most popular episodes we have are the dating episodes.
Yeah, so that's I tried to find one of those, but I couldn't remember.
Like, would you date a scrub?
I think that's what it was.
That one is pretty popular. The one from a couple of weeks ago we did. Oh, I was about to tell a story, but it wasn't story time story. It was a lie. Okay, so what's we finished with the lollygag? I'm not even tripping. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Because I don't have much lollygag today.
Oh, that's interesting. No shout outs. Yeah. No.
But that kind of leads us into what today's show is about, because today is going to be another dating show.
It's going to be dating etiquette, what to do and what not to do according to our ghetto psychology.
Or just what are your dating standards? I don't even want to say dating etiquette, but like
what
are your dating standards?
But your standards might be to eat 43 oysters.
Like date standards. Or
your dating standard
not be taken to the Cheesecake Factory.
Right. Oh my But those might be your standards. So that's why it's not standards. That's why it's etiquette. Because etiquette is across the board what you're supposed to do. Because a standard is relative. Ariel's standard might be different from my standard.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I say dating standards.
But it shouldn't be standards. It should be etiquette, what to do and what not to do.
Because of the fact that I am also talking about that Cheesecake Factory element that we're going to get into, that's a standard, like where you expect to be taken and what you expect to happen on a date. That is a standard.
Okay. We'll see where it goes. Because we got to name the show.
Okay.
Etiquette and standard. How about that? We can talk about, ¿por qué no las dos?
Data. What is we saying? Dating. What is the show about?
Etiquette and standard. How about
dating, etiquette, and standards?
Well, first of all, we could go into the semantics of etiquette and as a term, but
what's the name of this episode?
Etiquette and standards, I guess.
Because I just like standards. I feel like
the standards of dating, and then we'll hit on etiquette.
Yeah, sure. Because of the fact that you said that it's relative. So that's what I'm saying. That girl who got the 48 oysters, that was her standard.
Was it 43 or 48?
It was 48
because it was 4 dozen.
48 oysters. But that wasn't his standard. You know, he was to me, that's
who knows what he was expecting because he left.
Like a standard.
Anyway.
Any hoozle.
So, Chelsi, what is this show about?
Dating, in my opinion, dating standards.
Okay, well, what about them?
So, but like, okay, so we've been name dropping 48 oysters. If you don't know that story, just go on TikTok and look up 48 oysters.
And then come back.
But then another story I want to bring in, and now this is a story I feel like I can tell because I feel like I haven't seen this one. And I can.
We're going to talk about both of them at the same time interchangeably?
Well, I'm setting the scene.
Oh, okay.
Just trying to set the scene. And just give you some basis of what inspired us to talk about this show.
Okay.
Because I feel like these are two very hot topics.
Okay.
So there's a lady on TikTok who said that she was going on a date with this guy. Once again, same thing with the 48 Oysters girl. I'd been talking to him for a little bit, talking back and forth for weeks, and they decided to go on a date. Well, he comes to pick her up. They go on the date, and they pull up to a cheesecake factory. So then he gets out of the car, and he like goes around to like get her out of the car, and she's like, "I'm not getting out of the car."
I did see this.
She's like, "I'm not getting out of the car because I will not be caught dead in a cheesecake factory."
Specifically.
Or any
like he took her to White Castle.
Or any chain restaurant. Like she specifically said Cheesecake Factory or any chain restaurant.
So then in that case, you can't go to Nobu.
You know.
Is Nobu a chain? Well, anytime you have more than one, it's a chain, right?
Yeah. Like
Carbone is a chain. They got Carbones in here and New York. Like
that's kind
you
of
can't
weird.
go to Nobu. You can't go to Carbone.
So she stayed in the car, right?
So she stayed in the car and she kept saying like, "I'm not getting out. I'm not getting out." So I think the guy got back in the car and like they started having a conversation about it
because she's recording the whole time. Like she's not
right. Like she's like recording, like making this TikTok in real time.
And I must have made, I didn't see the TikTok. I must have saw a clip on Facebook or something because I saw the girl sitting in the car and the caption saying she wouldn't get out of the car.
Yeah.
Because.
So then he gets back in the car and they have this conversation. It's like, well, I was going to take you to a nicer restaurant, and I made reservations. And I think he said let's just say the reservation was for at 7:00. But he wanted to get there a little bit early. So he was going to come get her at 5:30. But they missed the reservation. Something happened and they showed up late and they didn't leave until the time of the reservation.
If my memory serves me correctly, I think it was that she was taking too long to get ready or something like that.
See, that
or
those
something
details,
had happened.
I don't
something
know.
happened where they
something happened where by the time he came and got her or the time they were ready, it was the time of the reservation. So they weren't going to go to that restaurant. So he still wanted to go out on the date. So because
I'm just we're going to tell the whole TikTok. I mean, I'm getting
we're giving the context.
I'm just trying to give the context.
Okay, I got it. Go ahead.
I can see me and you going to be fighting this episode because I don't understand where all this
I'm
heat
right.
is
I don't understand
from.
where it's
First of all, I'm your mother. We never going to fight.
But anywho,
I don't fight with my children.
Anyway, long story short.
Because that'll be the next TikTok that you'll see.
Anyways.
Can I tell my story, please? Thank you.
Tell their story. They
because I'm just saying, long story short.
Short story long.
Anyways.
Good Lord.
Anyways.
Short story long. You ain't never heard nobody say that?
No.
I'm not. I wasn't even being facetious. I literally was saying short story long. That's how you say it when you want to be funny.
Anyways.
Okay. But I say all that to say is because also I don't know, and I'm not too familiar of this, but I feel like girls are trying to initiate this little, as they say on TikTok, sprinkle method. And the sprinkle ain't sprinkling the way it needs to because, what is wrong with the Cheesecake Factory? You can run it up. First of all, the Cheesecake Factory, it do be hidden sometimes, number one.
It hits all the time.
And number two, you can run up a bill at Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, they have $30 salads or $20 salads.
With how big that menu is, you wanted me to, you
can get appetizer.
Run up.
That strawberry lemonade itself is $6-8.
Right. You get a nice cucumber lemonade. You can run that bill up.
You can get a nice alcoholic beverage.
Right. A little lemon drop martini.
A nice sized portion and a dessert. A cute little dessert.
Slice of cheesecake. You can run that bill up. Now, if I would have been dressed up and he would have took me to a Chili's, now maybe then I could see us having this conversation. But even still, not to that extent of I'm not getting out of the car because this is where you've taken me. You know, like I'm going to be a good sport about it. But for you to say, I'm not getting out of the car because of where you brought me.
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
But this is the thing that just stands out to me. No conversation was ever had about what we like and what we don't like. That's what to me, I don't understand about what I think is your generation. I feel like y'all be texting so much, y'all don't be talking. Because Neil would have known I didn't do Cheesecake Factory because we would have talked about it, right?
Well, because here's the thing with the Cheesecake Factory. You have to remember he had
dinner reservations somewhere.
I get all that, yeah.
Right, like they had the conversation of he had reservations somewhere else, and then she dropped the bomb of I don't do chains. But my thing personally is this: when you're going on a first date with somebody.
This was a first date?
Yes. This was a first date. When you're, or like second, third, or whatever it is.
Right. Early in the dating history with somebody.
Yeah. You are gathering information about somebody, right? You are trying to, not only are you giving information about yourself, but you're gathering information about that person.
Right.
So you're gathering information about what do they do for a living? What is their family like? What do they value? What do they do?
Conversation,
but not just their conversation, how they behave just in situations, right? So if you see a behavior, you don't have to like point out the behavior. As a matter of fact, I've noticed in my own personal just like going about my life, if you point out the behavior, that's their cue to be like, I know how to trick them next time. Like I know what not to do next time to make them think that I'm this, right? So that I can get over on them in the next time. If you see something,
if somebody playing trickeration,
right? If someone's trying to trick you. So my thing was this: if you don't like chain restaurants, if that is your problem, make note of the Cheesecake Factory. Go about your day.
Go on the date, go in the restaurant,
that's what I'm saying.
And then go home.
Right, and then go home, and then you go and block him, and like you never have to speak to him ever again because he brought you to a chain
or
restaurant.
Even just be like, hey, I don't, I didn't.
This was so much fun, but like just so that you know, like I'm not a big fan of like chain restaurants, and like I prefer like
absolutely
fancier places.
Yeah, like have that conversation. Like you don't have to block them and ghost them, or you can have that conversation.
Or blast them on social media. That's another thing is I just feel like people, when it comes to like who are like in their like early 20s, like we make the joke about like how horrible our dating pool is, but then at the same time like we're not doing anything to help it, because I feel like by you blasting him on social media,
both with Cheesecake Factory
and 48 Oysters, because I guess they had a $150 bill, but that was on her fault because who orders 48?
Who can eat that many oysters?
And you was slurping them down. Who can slurping them down?
That's the only way to eat oysters.
No, because you could eat it with no fork. Absolutely.
No, the proper way really is the slurp. Absolutely. When I learned, and I was with some high upper echelon people, they said this is how you do it. You loosen it up with that fork, but you slurping it in.
I get that, but like I'm not doing that on the first date.
Okay, here we go. Now let's go into the standards, because let's get off of these. Because clearly, there's people out there that show you what to do, and there's people out there that show you what not to do. And I'm going to chalk these two young ladies up. And we don't have no shade against you. How you live your life is how you live your life. Ain't no judgment over here. No judgment zone. But we're going to chalk that up as what not to do. To me, to have a successful date. Because like Ariel said, you don't have to break the date. It's not like he took you to McDonald's. And even if he takes you to McDonald's.
Take note of the McDonald's.
And as brazen as I am with my mouth, I'll be like, no, you didn't bring me to a McDonald's, but I will have a Big Mac meal. I would spend up all the money that he would need to spend, because he needs to know that I do have expensive taste, even at a McDonald's. You know what tripped me out? I'm gonna take a little sidebar and then I'm gonna come back. Why do people try to act like they don't eat McDonald's ever?
I hate that.
Oh my gosh.
You've never ate, you just don't. McDonald's. Oh my God. McDonald's.
Oh my gosh. I haven't eaten McDonald's in like 5 years.
And knowing you just
Good
probably had it in your
for
car the other day.
Right. And
Good
you probably
for
have
you.
some other like fast food or junk food. That you
Let
eat.
me eat my McDonald's in peace. Let me eat my 10-piece nugget with my sweet and sour sauce
I just
and a
had
high
McDonald's.
C orange in peace.
I just had McDonald's the other night and it was so good.
That's what I'm saying. Listen,
Or you know what else I feel like gets some slander, but the minute you don't have anyone in your ear talking about it, be delicious.
what?
Little Caesars.
Right, people do be tripping because they
be
$5
hating on
pizzas.
Little
Where you
Caesars.
lost me.
They
That's
be like, Little
Oh my God,
Caesars.
how could you eat that?
You
Little
lost me.
Caesars, you have to eat it the day. You can't warm it up the next day.
No.
I will give it that. You got to eat.
You gotta eat
You
it
got to
fresh,
slam the
same
whole
day.
thing same day. But yeah,
That
I just
cheesy-
hate.
Italian cheesy bread. Yeah,
I just
smash
hate when
that to
people
myself.
act bougie over food. Like when I was growing up, people didn't even go to restaurants. Now we don't even want to go. We don't want a guy to take us on a first date to Cheesecake Factory. So another thing I wanted to say was you also have to consider the source, right? Like if I'm not dating a software engineer or
I mean, we don't know the professions of
I
the
don't,
people.
but
yeah.
and like I said, I'm off of that. I'm speaking from life now.
Yeah.
I'm off of their specific situations because there's probably other individuals that haven't recorded their experience, but have had maybe a similar experience, right?
Mhm.
Like last episode, we were talking about the do's and don'ts that we think men should do. But now this show to me is kind of the do's and don'ts of what women should do because sometimes we be tripping too.
Oh yeah.
So my thing is this. If I see you you are up and comer, or you saving, like you might have student loans you're trying to pay, you trying to save up for, something, or maybe you a saver. I'm not saying that saver should stop you from spending money on me, but you have to meet people where they are. Like Chelsi said, you can run up a nice, I don't think I've ever went to the Cheesecake Factory with two people and spent less than $60.
I don't think it's even possible.
Well, because if you add that slice of cheesecake on there, you gonna be up there. Because
that $12 slice of cheesecake.
right. So it's like you get the cheesecake or the cake, whatever. You get the strawberry lemonade.
You get either the salad or you get the steak
Appetizer.
Diane or the
That's what I'm saying.
whatever it is, whatever your
We all
entree
just
of
throwing
choice.
out our Cheesecake Factory orders.
Right. Just in case you never know. One day somebody might want to send us some.
Right.
But it's just like, my
Do
thing
accept
is,
gift cards.
you consider the source. It doesn't make much sense to me to sit in a car and say you're not getting out. It's almost like you had a temper tantrum.
No,
Like
literally.
a child.
Literally.
And what kind of impression as the young man that was doing this thing? Because let's be honest. Is a date a requirement? Is it a privilege? What is a date?
To me,
A
a date is
date
a
is-
privilege.
It can be. And it should be kind of looked at. And I know we're going to get thoughts for this because people going to be like, a privilege? And let us break down what we mean by privilege, because I want people to really understand what privilege is in this particular dynamic. If you're meeting a guy and he has no connection to you, think about it. You're meeting a guy, he saw you on social media or however he saw you.
Down the street. In a
Down the
grocery
street,
store.
right, grocery store. And he said, hey, can I get your number? And then you guys start talking on the phone or texting. And then he says, I want to get to know you a little bit better. How about I take you out, right?
I think that's a privilege. I think it is a privilege on both sides, honestly. I think it is a
Yeah.
privilege for you to get to know me and me to get to know you.
And it should be taken as such when he asks, right?
Yeah.
And I don't usually go this way because this is,
I know.
me and you don't usually flow this way.
Right.
We
Yeah.
usually flow the other way, that it's a privilege that you lucky I'm going. But no, this guy is interested in you. He wants to show you that he wants to get to know you a little bit better. Because it doesn't mean you're going to be his girlfriend. But think about it.
Oh, what? You mean we had one day and I'm not your girlfriend?
Exactly. That's exactly. So think of it from a man's
Yikes.
perspective. Think of it from a man's
you went on one
perspective.
date and you're not automatically obsessed with me? Can't
He's
do
not
All
the
of those
one.
things. Because think about it. Here he is. He said, hey, Ariel, hey, Chelsi, I'm interested in getting to know you a little bit better. I want to sit down and, let's have a conversation, but I want to take you out. He has no connection to you. He has no clue how the night is going to go, but yet he's willing to come out of his pocket for X amount of dollars. And you want it to be thousands of dollars,
right?
But X amount of dollars. And I think a Cheesecake Factory is a medium span where you can say, hey, they weren't long-time girlfriend, but hey, I've been married 29 years and Neil can take me wherever he want to take me. I'm just happy to sit and enjoy a meal with him. And that's where we need to get back to, is the focus of, it's not about where you take me. It's not about what you bought me. It's about the time you want to spend with me. It's about
and how much is that worth?
How much is that worth? Chelsea, how much is that worth?
A lot.
Which one? What? A lot. Did you lose?
Yeah.
I think the ADHD kind of kicked in.
Oh
for like
my
2.5
God.
seconds.
I heard the conversation.
But you thought your time was up?
Didn't absorb.
Your time was up. No, what we're saying is here's this guy. You heard it. Here's this guy. He has no connection to you. He just knows he saw you. He wants to take you out to get to know you a little bit better. And so he could say, hey, let's go out. You pay, I pay. You pay yours, I pay mine. But he's not saying that. He's saying, I want to take you out.
Right.
I want to pay.
Right.
And he even, in this particular case, made in the reservation somewhere else. You missed it. But in another person's real life scenario, it might have been just this place that he picked. But what's wrong with that?
Right. Like and
you know what? You know why we can't find nothing wrong with it? Because there's nothing wrong with it.
Right. And there's
the error was in the young ladies.
Was in the thinking. It was in their thinking.
It was in their thinking and the reaction. Mm-hmm. Because you could have had so many different reactions. Like most people, I think most people would have seen that, would have seen him drive up to that restaurant and would have been like, in their brain would have been like, oh, no, he ain't taking me to the cheese factory.
Right.
If that's a thing that you're not into.
Right.
Then you would have been like, you would have been processing it.
He would have to go to the bathroom. Girl, he done took me to the Cheesecake Factory.
Right. Because I feel like a
Ate
lot of
him
times.
up in the group chat.
Right. Because a lot of people, when you're dating, and I feel like this is something that a lot of people really don't think about, is a lot of people these days, I feel like they show their hand too much. Like they show their cards.
Quick.
They show their cards too quick.
Too quick. Because he had no
way
from what I know of the story, he didn't have a connection to her. They weren't boyfriend and girlfriend, were they?
No, there was a first date. And the whole thing is this. I feel like a lot of people these days are like, show you're crazy on the first date. It's not about showing you're crazy on the first date and letting them know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
It's about you got to be careful, right?
You got to be courteous. It's about manners too. So that's why I wanted to say etiquette.
Yes.
Because to me, it's about manners too. Because the way I raised y'all, because I bet not never see that happening. The way I raised you guys is you're humble enough to meet this guy on his level. So if he felt like he wanted to take you to Golden Corral,
yikes!
What you gonna do?
Yikes.
What you gonna
do anything? However,
you gonna get out the car and you gonna go pick over the buffet the best way you know how. And you're gonna
don't take me home, and
you both will hear about it.
But what about the conversation in between? What if he takes you there and y'all have the most magnificent conversation that you've ever had with another person? Is the Golden Corral gonna break that for you?
I mean, it's not. It might not be a deal breaker, but it might dock you a couple of points. And the only reason
you're gonna have to step it up your next date.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Why?
Because here's the thing.
I'm not saying he needs to take you there again, but why does he need to step it up? Okay, I'm going to take you back. Mm-hmm. You weren't here, so we're going to bring you in. This from Ariel and I's episode on opinions. Mm-hmm. Ariel said, because I feel like y'all kind of say he needs to level up. That's what I'm hearing.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I'm not saying necessarily to level up, but here's what Golden Corral says to me. I would say
that means
I'm
you ain't
not,
got no taste buds. Like, who's going to Golden Corral? That means
Your dad
you know,
loves
like,
Golden Corral.
That means you. And what does he eat?
I'm just telling you.
And I'm just
why
telling
are you dogging my
I'm
man
not
out? My
dogging
man
your
loves
man
Golden
out.
Corral.
And that's great for him. But
I don't
to
like
me,
it.
Golden Corral tells me that you've got the taste buds of a child. That's what that tells me.
But it just might be
Well,
a favorite of his.
Like-
Like,
my thing.
like if they were
Everybody's not. Let's go here. Let's dial it back. Everybody is not as exposed to everything that everybody else is. So if that is his exposure at this moment, so story time. When I met your dad, we one of our early dates. It wasn't the first date. One of our early dates. We went to church and then we went to dinner. We went to church with my mother and I think it was somebody she was dating at the time. I can't remember. It was somebody. So we went to church and after church we went out to dinner. And we went.
You went to. That's how long the service was.
You know how church used to be.
You went to church
Dinner
and then you
means
went to dinner.
like
It was
2
like
o'clock.
early, right? It was like 2:00. She's right.
That is a lunch. That is a late.
But that's like
lunch.
church
But it
dinner.
was
You know what
dinner.
I know what
Yeah.
you mean.
You said we gonna fight this. We're gonna just you gonna see the dirt going up like on the cartoons. So we went to dinner after church, and we went to a Chinese restaurant. And so when we got there, Neil was like looking at the menu. He was playing it off pretty good, but I could tell he was struggling with what to order. So I was like, hey, what do you normally get when you go to a Chinese restaurant? Same thing. Because this one was a little special. It wasn't Japanese or anything, but this particular Chinese restaurant, you sat on the floor. They had a section where you sat on the floor, so they had cushions. And they had it was really cool and I used to love this little restaurant. It was in Michigan. And they had the square cut out. So you didn't have to cross your legs. You just sat in the pit. It was almost like a pit, but you were on the floor. Your bottom was on the floor, but your legs kind of went down into the cutout. And so it was super comfortable. But I said, so I was thinking that was throwing him off, that we were there and that type. And I said, well, what do you usually get when you go to Chinese? And he said, I've never been to a Chinese restaurant before. Now, mind you, we were young. We were so young. But here he is telling me that he had never been to a Chinese restaurant. And I didn't think negatively of him. I thought, oh, that's so cute. I'm giving him his first experience in a Chinese restaurant. So I'm telling this story to say,
When
why
we're done
can't...
recording, I'm going to go downstairs and ask him if he remember this.
Yeah.
Probably not.
No, I bet you he will, because literally it was the first time he had ever eaten Chinese food at a Chinese restaurant. He's going to remember. I have faith. But no, I say all of that to say I didn't get like embarrassed or nothing for him. I felt like, oh, that's so cool. I'm giving him his first experience into this. So sometimes we need to stop looking at it like, oh, you better not take me there. Oh, you better not do this. Sometimes it's about exposure, because we can take these opportunities to use those things as opportunities to help or learn or grow somebody.
Well, and I'm with you on that, because when we going a little bit back to the Golden Corral thing, if somebody would have taken me, like for example, if John would have taken me to a Golden Corral on our first
John Vincent.
why
Don't you put his full government name?
That is not his full government name. That is just the two. He has two first names.
And you
Literally.
are the only one who calls him by both.
You really are.
I bet you his parents call him
do
that.
not.
What they call him?
They call him John.
I
You're the
I
only
think that's
one
cool
that
to call him
calls him
John,
that.
because it's a million Johns in the world. That sets him apart. He should be glad I call him. That's a nickname. I like giving people nicknames. Anyway.
His using his full both first names is a
It's
nickname.
not both first names. That's his full first name.
Yeah,
Because he has two first names.
Yeah.
That's what that's called.
So I'm using them.
Anyways,
That's
I didn't
not
use
a
his
nickname.
last name.
any hoozle.
Right. If John would
If John would have taken me to a Golden Corral, in my head I would have been like, we got to find some new restaurants. But
exactly, that's my whole point.
And that's actually what not what happened, but that's essentially what happened, because that's kind of what we do. We go to new restaurants all the time. Like that's kind of
some of them are high and some of them are medium and some of them are low.
Yeah, like it's a variety of things. But if I would have been if it would have been a case where he wasn't
I was about to say, maybe that's why I don't got a man. I'm just not very open to things. You know? I mean, I'd say this.
I bet you when you get the man, you're going to get opener.
I say this just jokingly for the podcast content. Like,
this is entertainment purposes.
Yes, if a man took me to Golden Corral, then I would be okay.
But yeah.
I'd be eating you up in the group chat, though. I'd be eating you up in the group chat. But, like, I'd be okay, though.
I would see it on Life 360 and be like, where are you right now?
Did somebody steal your phone?
I would be like,
you think somebody stole her phone?
I would be like, did you get robbed?
Like, what are you doing?
Girl, you're going to be so glad to have some my man. You ain't you're going to be like, bring me 2 sweet teas with that. And your side of cornbread. Stupid. You're going to be so excited. You ain't going to never stop cheesing.
But like last night, Ariel's boyfriend had called her and we was having a conversation. And she,
not you exposing me like this.
I really am.
Right? Because what if she told him she didn't hear the phone ring?
It's okay.
By the time this airs, he's not gonna know which time.
Which last night this was.
That's true.
So
thank God we record in advance.
So she had declined the call, and then
really exposing me.
Let it go to voicemail. Let me say that she let it go to voicemail, and then we had said you just not gonna answer his call, whatever. And she was like, oh, stop it. I said, yeah, because I was like, best believe when I get a man, he call me, bye, I gotta go. My man is calling me. You ain't even
gonna let us know. You just gonna walk off, get up and walk off.
Hey, babe, what you doing?
That's because Ariel is comfortable. It's been a year. That's why I told you. I said, after it's been a year, you're gonna get comfortable. You get Chelsi. Mom, believe it or not, you get comfortable.
I'm aware you get comfortable
because I'm sure your dad. Boop, which is probably where she got it from. He declines me, or
Dad. He doesn't decline.
He pretends like he doesn't hear. Like lately, it has been grinding my gears so to the max that So let me tell you what I did. Another story time. Neil is the story guy today. So the other day, I called him because I wanted to ask him about did he want something. Like I was about to do an order and I was I'm trying to be nice wife and include him and see does he want something. And he didn't answer the phone. But I know he's near his phone. I just know it, right?
Your spidey senses was tingling.
My spidey senses was tingling.
He has been on his phone a lot lately. So
look what I did. Because this is how petty I am. I took my phone and I had it all set up to just push the button to call him when I got to a certain area. So I go down the stairs and I start walking towards his man cave and I hit the button.
That's crazy.
And it starts ringing. And I said, oh, so it does ring. Oh, so the ringer is on. What?
Yeah, because your TV.
He didn't even say he didn't hear it.
Because your TV's at 1 million volume. That's
he didn't even say he didn't hear it because he knew that would have been a lie. So I said, oh, and that, I'm telling you, that messed him up because he did not expect. I love giving the unexpected, but I had it all planned. I said, I'm about to eat him up because I'm tired of this. You will not disrespect me like this here. So I had it all set up. I had it ready, just hit the button. And like I said, I got right to his office door, man cave door, and I hit it. And it just started ringing. And I just was standing there acting like it wasn't me, right? And then it's ringing, and then he looking. And I said, oh, it does ring. I said, because I've been calling you. Oh, I didn't get that. But you got that one? You ain't get none of the others, but you got. I said, okay, all right. That's what you're going with. That's what we're going with. Okay, good job. So anyway, I say all of that to say you get comfortable because he got comfortable. He gets comfortable with me. He thinks he can do what Ariel did. No, we was in the middle of a conversation because we was talking about our trip.
Yeah, because what my problem is I won't text like, hey, I'm busy. Even though I probably should. I should probably text.
You should probably do that thing and like when you can do the the text response and say, hey, I'll call you back.
Right. Because what I will do is I'll see it ring and then I'll like leave the room and then I'll call back. But I won't text back and then when I call him back, I'll be like, hey, I was talking to my mom, or I'll be like, hey, I was
but if it's in your hand, you could just hit that, because you could just do it right away.
Yeah, I should do that.
I'm sorry. Androdias. I don't know what Androdias can do, but us Apollonias can hit the button and it just goes. So I don't know what Androdias do.
I can slide up and choose a variety of messages.
Okay. All right. As long as you got the options. We don't know your options. Chelsi and I don't know your options. We don't even try to
understand.
We don't even try to understand, because we would never be of that world. Like the only way I would get an Androdia is if it was free, and I probably would still give it away. Because I actually have an Androdia right now that was given to me for free that I
feel so oppressed in this household.
With the Androdias?
You should.
I feel so disrespected.
Because what we do is we try to see if we can bully you enough to just switching. And one day we were so close.
Why don't you want to switch? Because you think the phones are built by sweatshops?
No, because I don't. It is not that big of a deal. And also, like, you were right. You almost bullied me into doing it. And then, like,
John almost bullied you.
Almost. And then I thought about like the process of moving all of my stuff over from Android to Apple, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it.
It wouldn't have been that hard.
Nothing.
I promise you, it wouldn't have been that hard.
It is 20 and the 23. It is not hard.
I don't care. Listen, I don't want to.
So let me tell y'all, I got to tell them this story.
Oh, goodness.
This is story time. So Ariel, so I know y'all know about that clothing company Shein, right? Shein. So I order off of there all the time. I love their little clothes. Chelsi orders from them. So Ariel was ordering from them, but then all of a sudden, like, Ariel gets on these soapboxes. Because then I told them the story about the nuggets, the McDonald's with the broccoli. Did I ever tell that story on the show?
Yes.
So it was kind of one of those kind of moments where I went to her. I was like, Ariel, you should put in a Shein order for something. And she was like, I just don't. I'm not ordering from them anymore. And she was all adamant. And she gave me this excuse. She was like, their clothes don't fit me right. She was saying this. And I was like, really? Maybe you need to put your measurements in. You know, I'm saying all these things. So that was months and months ago. So recently, I was like, Ariel, do a Shein order, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I don't even have the app on my phone anymore. And so she was like, what did you say? You was like, it's probably because of the sweatshop.
I said something about, it had something to do with that. It was something about like the sweatshop.
Having sweatshop. And I was like, is that why you're not wanting to order from Shein? I was like, Ariel, you are so political sometimes. It drives me
You
nuts.
know what? In some ways I am. And sometimes it's like over like the most minute.
Yes, I was going to say silly.
I'm
glad you changed it to minute.
Minute details, and like, because for me it's I can do that. We live in America. I can do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I have the power to like choose that kind.
You can choose
that kind of stuff. But it just
trips me out how you get like. You'll get on it, but you should have just said that to me like months ago. But you was all like making it like, there's sizes and they're not, and I hardly ever find what I want. Like, it was just saying all these things when really it was
because if I do, you'll say that it's small.
Well, let me say this. I would have an opinion about it.
Okay.
I would definitely have an opinion about it. But at the end of the day, I would be like, I think if you would have said that to me, because when you said it the other day, I got it. It clicked. I didn't give you no opposition about it.
That's fair.
I was like, it just was a light bulb when I was like, that's why you don't want to place orders there. I was like, oh my God, Ariel, with this stuff, and you never know what's going to ticker. You never know. Like, I can't peg it. You know, like, you might not want to shop there for sweatshops, but then you're cool with somebody else. It's like an Old Navy. Listen, we don't know any of these people are using sweatshops.
Right. It depends on
this is entertainment.
It depends on what I read in the news.
Yeah.
that
This is for
particular week.
entertainment purposes, as Chelsi alluded to earlier, which is these is jokes. They should be taken as such.
Depends on the article that I read the headline for that week.
Okay. So are we done talking? But what about, did we talk about the oysters?
I feel, because
We just feel like, I think our stance is, instead of making it about the place,
I do want to say
make it about the person, because I have seen people go to higher places with guys that treat them like crap. So
That is true.
is that okay? Is that a thing that, like, this guy probably, I don't know, a guy might have been so grand, like a really good guy, and took you here or took you there. But then you might have had this guy over here take you to this big place. But then while you're there, he's talking to you crazy, don't have much coming out of his brain worth listening to.
That was the other thing that I was kind of trying to allude to earlier about the showing your hand early, because I saw another TikTok of this girl a couple weeks ago. She was talking to this guy, and I want to say it was from like a dating app or something, and she mentioned that she comes from like she has a trust fund. She offhand mentioned that she had a trust fund.
She doesn't. I bet you she doesn't. That's my opinion.
Well, here's the thing. She probably does. I think she did. And here's why I say that. So she went out on the date with this guy, and he suggested the date. He suggested the restaurant. It was a fancy, nice place, but he couldn't afford it. So she could. So he told her to slide him her card so that he could pay, or so that he could look like he paid, but with her card.
You know why you got the silence on that? Because that's just ridiculous.
I'm just trying to figure out how you were going to tie that into today.
And let me tell you how I was going to tie that into today's, because on the flip
that's
side,
the standard,
right? Because on the flip side of
he tried to get away with,
right? That's the thing that he tried to get away with, because on these dates, whether it's the first, second, third, or what have you, people will try to get away with things on these dates. So if you're showing your hand, or if you're expressing outwardly your why are you taking me here, or like expressing outwardly instead of just taking mental note, people are going to know,
instead of just letting the date flow.
Yeah, instead of just letting
whatever
it flow.
happened to that. Don't get me wrong, I think everybody's been on a bad date.
Yeah, at that point, if I were the girl with the dude trying to pay, I would have pulled the waitress. I've been like, hey, I've had this, and this, and I'm paying for this. He's on his own. But
to me, that just leads back to what I said in the beginning.
Yeah.
The conversation. You don't know what level this guy was on. Granted, he made all the arrangements, but that I don't know. That just yeah, I just don't know. And I'm trying to think. Something was coming into my brain. That's why I was stuttering. I've been in good, bad, and ugly situations. I remember a guy asked me one time, he was like, let's go out to dinner. I want to take you out to dinner. And he took me to Red Lobster. Red Lobster is a big thing in the Midwest. Y'all better know about Red Lobster, especially back in those days. Red Lobster was the thing. So he was like, I'm going to take you to Red Lobster. And I remember him taking me to Red Lobster, and I had no clue what to order, because that wasn't a restaurant that my mom used to take me to. Like, she goes there now, but back then we didn't go to that restaurant that often. So I had no clue what to order. And I felt so bad, because when I did order, I ordered something. The guy had kind of recommended it to me what to order. He was like, you should get this. And I got what he recommended, and it was so disgusting. And I think they still have it on the menu today. It's this flounder meal that they have.
Oh.
And
I don't know anything about that.
I think it comes with all these other things, but it's like flounder stuff. I don't even know what it's stuffed with. And I took one bite of the stuff, like everything that came. I don't even think I read it. I think he said, you should get this. And I think, okay, I'll get it. And that was hard, because I didn't want to waste his money, right? And I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing, right? Because this is very early on. I was young. And the guy was like, what's wrong? Is the food not good? And I was like, no, it's good. And I'm playing around with it. So I ended up getting a carryout, right? A to-go, and brought it home. And I never ate it because it was very expensive. It was super expensive, because red lobster can be that way, right? You get that ultimate feast, that's going to run you. Shoot, I think last time me and Teddy went, it was like $38, almost $40 for the ultimate feast now. But it wasn't that I got. But I just was like, oh, poor thing. I felt so bad. So get your consciences back, ladies. Get your consciences back, guys, for the scenario that Ariel gave. It's a date. It's a chance to get, we should have looked up what the definition of a date was. It's the chance to get to know somebody. I think if you go into it like that, they can take you to a coffee shop. They can take you to an ice cream shop, a bistro. Like, why does it have to be so upper echelon when one person is trying to get to know another? And that's what we're going to leave the people with, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just crazy to me. And I want y'all to come up a little bit. You know me, I always want you to come up. Ariel wants you to go in a straight line. She wants you to level sideways. She wants you to be on a sliding scale, but I want you to level up. I believe people need to just check their consciousness and their awareness and understand who you're with. This is not, if a person asks you out on a date, they're not asking you to marry them. They're literally asking you on a date. So treat it as such. A date is, AKA, let's have a conversation and get to know each other. Why do I got to spend $5,000 on you to get to know you? I mean, that's a quick way to get to know you, but why do I got to spend so much money to know I'm never doing that again? Right? Because I'm thinking that in both of these cases that we've outlined, all three of the cases that we outlined, that wasn't favorable. So did they take them on the second date?
Probably not.
I would love to see. I would love to know that. But
I think it depends on each person's standards. But yeah,
definitely depends on that.
Yeah, and
what you're in it for. Everybody's not in it for the same thing. I'm in it for the long run.
Then you should have that conversation.
Yeah, and that's to me what it boils down to. Like, you guys were going like, I want this, I want that, I want this. To me, this just highlights to me that conversations that should be being had are not being had. So start having conversations, guys. Yeah. If somebody asks you out on a date, this is mama talking now. I'm going into mommy mode. If someone asks you out on a date and you have preconceived notions of where you like to go, then you need to say that. You need to say, don't take me to no Cheesecake Factory. Don't take me here. Don't take me there. And then you probably going to get a text the next morning and say, you know what? I forgot I got a dentist appointment.
Right. Like, I got to take
a dentist appointment at 6:00 at night.
I got to take
every Wednesday.
my cat to the groomer.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday from now until the rest of my life.
I got to take
Have
my
a good
bird to
day.
his swimming lessons.
Right. Have a good life.
My cat's dying that day.
So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you get that sort of reaction from that what you've put out there, right? Because you didn't go by the seat of your pants, right? You didn't let stuff lay. You wanted to tighten it up all the way in the first date. So there you go. So that was our show for today. Follow us on our socials. Y'all like it when I sing it. Follow us on our socials. Watch us on YouTube.
Voice so high pitched.
I get like that sometimes. Okay. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe. Is it subscribe?
Yes.
Subscribe to us. I get all confused what you're supposed to do. Follow us on Facebook.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Is it follow on Facebook?
Yes.
Follow us on Instagram.
Yes.
Subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yes.
Go listen to us on all major podcast platforms.
There you go.
Yes.
Leave us a 5-star rating if you love us. If you don't, keep it pushing.
Yeah.
We will give you a shout out if you give us a 5-star rating. I haven't seen any lately, but I look. So give us a rating. And look, don't look at it as us buying your rating. Look
You're
at it
not
as
getting anything from it. Like,
right.
We're not paying.
We are paying homage to you. So that's our show for today. We thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We look forward to you joining us on the next episode. Until then, be inspired and enlightened.